Hey everybody, Christian here with KQ Fitness, here to talk to you a little bit more about the squat and how to regress that if you have a client or if you yourself are still not quite there, being able to execute a squat to perfection in terms of bringing all those cues together that we discussed in our last video. So here I'm going to walk you through a regression of that called the sit to stand. So we got our chair here, and we'll take a seat. Something that's commonly used, recommended by the American College of Sports Medicine, especially for senior adults if you're doing some type of fitness test, endurance test for them, or coordination test, but also very applicable to the general population. Kind of as your step one if a perfect squat isn't quite doable. So a lot of principles overlap here. What I'm going to do is, as I'm staying seated in my chair, we all know how to sit. Naturally, to describe what you're doing when you're seated, you're actually contracting your hamstrings, so right underneath the legs here, and you're also contracting and shortening your hip flexors up here. So that's the motion that starts. That also occurs at the bottom of your squat. So when you come down to the bottom of your squat, as you work your way back up, that's kind of the motion that we're starting at, sitting down. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to shift my weight forward onto my heels and my toes, as if I were doing an actual squat. I'm going to press myself up to a standing position. Take another seat back down. So something similar to a cue that I usually give my clients for a squat, keeping your hands out here in front of your chest here. As a reminder, keep your chest up as you're continuing that motion back up from your seated position and as you sit back down. Doing your best to keep your back neutral. So the more I lean forward here, I want to be able to center my weight, my center of gravity on top of my feet as I'm about to stand. Once I get to this point, I'm kind of using my glutes to help push me up. So it's like that bottom of the squat where I recommend that you squeeze your glutes there and activate those as you drive back up to a standing position or the finished portion of your squat. Squeeze your glutes at the top. In order to do that, as I'm coming down into that seated position on the way down, I'm tilting my pelvis forward. So waistband in the front is lower than the waistband in the back of my shorts. As I continue to go down to my squat, I'm shifting that weight from center of gravity on top of my feet and easing back into that chair. By doing that, I'm still keeping my core engaged by keeping a nice neutral back. Posture of the neck and the spine is going to be about the same. So you want that to be just one straight line there. Whether you're shifting here or back here. I never want to shift out in front of my toes here to avoid losing the balance there. I want to make sure we're staying right on top. So center of gravity, right on top of those feet. Coming up to a seated standing position. Take another seat back down. Another main focus too, we talked about weight distribution, posture, our back, the glutes being activated. Also be sure to press those knees outward. Feel them starting to cave in a bit. Press them outward so they stay or maintain a position on top of or over your feet. Right? So there I kind of pushed out there. If I didn't, maybe my knees start to cave in as I stand up. We don't want that. I'm going to focus on just being able to press that out and keep those joints as neutrally lined up or aligned as possible. All right, so again, here we go. Chest up, shift my weight forward, center on top of my feet, stand up. I start to tilt my pelvis forward, aim the butt back towards the seat, and shift the weight back into a seated position. Okay, so that's the regression of the squat. That's a good starting point for people who can't perfectly execute a squat. Be able to start with a sit to stand. So a lot of the cues overlap there, so it's a good starting point if we're not quite able to do that squat on our own. All right? And that was how to do a sit to stand.